Have you ever loved someone so deeply, and yet never had the chance to say hello, let alone goodbye? I need to tell you something that I've never said out loud before, and maybe, just maybe, this story isn't just mine. Maybe it's yours too. You see, they say time heals. But what if time never had the chance to begin? What if your first hello was also your last goodbye? What if the person you loved the most never even opened their eyes? This is not a dramatic tale or a fictional letter written for effect. This is real. This is the kind of truth that doesn't make it into baby books or family albums. It doesn't get whispered at dinner tables. It lives in silence, in shadows, in the space between what could have been and what never will be. And it's that space I'm going to take you into now. My son, he never took a breath in this world. He never cried, never smiled, never felt the warmth of my arms wrapped around him. But I felt him. I knew him. I loved him. From the second I knew he existed, I started building a world for him. I picked out names, I imagined his laugh, I dreamed of the way he'd call me Mom. I pictured the smell of his hair, the sound of his first steps, the quiet moments before bed when I'd read him stories under the soft glow of a nightlight. But then, without warning, that world collapsed. No noise, no explanation, just silence, just that empty ultrasound room and the words no mother should ever have to hear. The words that split your soul wide open and leave nothing but questions echoing inside your chest. He was gone before I could ever hold him. And no one prepares you for that. No one tells you how heavy it is to carry love with no place to go. No one explains how hard it is to walk through baby aisles, knowing nothing in them is for you anymore. You become invisible. Your grief is quiet, almost taboo. The world moves on, but your world, it stopped. I remember sitting in the nursery I'd just started decorating, the soft blue walls, the untouched blanket folded neatly in the crib, the tiny shoes by the window. Every item was screaming his name, and yet there was no one to answer. And that's when I wrote this letter, not because it would change anything, but because I had to speak. I had to say the things that were never said, to honor a heartbeat that once beat inside me, to let the silence know I still remember. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you've lost someone, a child, a parent, a love, without warning. Maybe you carry a goodbye that never had a beginning. Maybe your silence has its own story, and it's time to give it a voice. What I'm about to share with you isn't just a letter. It's a moment I never got to live, but one I relive every day in my heart. It's a voice that was never heard and yet never stopped speaking inside me. And if you've ever wondered how to grieve someone you never met, if you've ever tried to hold on to someone who slipped away before you could touch them, then maybe this story is yours too. If you've made it this far, I need you to know something. You were meant to hear this, and maybe someone else needs to hear it too. Maybe someone you love is carrying a silent grief just like this, but they've never had the words. Maybe this letter is also theirs. So here's what I'm asking. From one broken heart to another, leave a comment below. Not just for me, for you, for them, for every soul scrolling in silence, searching for a sign that they're not the only one who aches like this. Tell me who you're thinking about. Tell me the words you never got to say. Or simply write, "This is my goodbye." Because every comment becomes a voice, and every voice reminds the next person, you're not alone. And if this letter touched something inside you, something raw, something real, then let's not keep it to ourselves. Click that like button, subscribe. Not because I need numbers, but because we need to reach the people who feel unreachable right now, the ones who think no one would ever understand their pain, but we do. This channel exists to speak what was never spoken, to deliver the letter that was never sent, to hold the hand that was left empty, and this is just the beginning. So leave your words, share your heart. Let's fill this space with memory, with healing, with love, because tomorrow we read another letter, and maybe, just maybe, it will be yours. The world kept turning, but I didn't. I remember standing in the hallway that day, the silence around me so loud it felt like it was screaming. The nurse didn't need to say anything. I saw it in her eyes, the kind of look that holds back tears not because of policy, but because it happens too often. A look that says, "I'm so sorry," without making a sound. I remember the cold of the hospital room, the way my fingers trembled as I held my breath, waiting for yours. But yours never came. And in that moment, that still irreversible, breathless moment, something in me shattered. They told me I could try again, that maybe it wasn't meant to be, that these things happen. But none of those words could undo what I felt. You were real. You existed. You were mine. And even if no one else met you, I did. I met you in my dreams, in the sound of lullabies I no longer sing, in the baby blanket still folded at the bottom drawer, in the rocking chair that rocks with no weight in it. I meet you in quiet moments, when the world is too loud and all I want is to go back to the moment when I still had hope, when you were still possibility, still light, still heartbeat. Some nights, I still sit in your room. I never finished it. The wallpaper stopped halfway. The crib was never built. But the love, that part was complete. And that's what no one tells you, that grief doesn't wait for a heartbeat. It begins with love, and I loved you the moment I knew you were there. And yet the grief felt invisible. People avoid talking about it. They say things like, at least it happened early, or you can try again. But you don't just move on from a soul that touched yours. You don't erase love because time was short. You don't forget a future you built in your mind every single day. Child loss isn't just the absence of a baby. It's the absence of a lifetime. It's the loss of first birthdays, scraped knees, school photos, bedtime stories. It's the quiet ache in the middle of a laugh, the sudden tears in a grocery aisle, the emptiness that walks beside you like a shadow no one else can see. People think grief is loud, crying, sobbing, breaking, but the deepest grief is often silent. It hides in smiles. It folds into small talk. It lingers in the moments when everyone else has moved on, and you're still there, frozen in the memory of what never came to be. I carried you for weeks. I carried you in my body, and now I carry you in my memory. No heartbeat, no breath, no sound, but a presence louder than words. And this story, this letter, is all I have left to give. Because if I can't rock you to sleep, if I can't hear your voice calling me Mom, then at least I can speak this truth into the world. I can say your name out loud, even if it echoes back in silence. I'm not the only one. I know that. There are so many others who've held love in their womb and lost it before the world even knew it was there. People who smiled through pain, who never got to mourn openly, who are still carrying a goodbye that no one saw. If that's you, I see you now. You're not alone. And if you're still watching this, if something in your heart is beating just a little faster, if you feel seen for the first time in a long time, then I want to ask you something. It's not much, but it means everything. Leave a comment below. Maybe you just want to write, I understand. Maybe you're ready to share a name, or maybe, just maybe, you're brave enough to write, this is my goodbye. Let this be more than a video. Let it be a wall where we write the names we never got to say. A place where silence becomes voice. A space where every story, every heartbreak, every goodbye, finally has somewhere to go. And if this touched you, if it made you feel something even for a second, please like this video. It helps the algorithm send it to someone who's crying in silence right now, thinking no one would understand. But we do. You and I, we do. And if you want to walk this journey with us, click subscribe. We don't have all the answers, but we have space for your story. And we're not afraid to speak the unspeakable. We're not finished yet, not even close. Because there's still a letter I need to read, the one that began with love and was never delivered. Dear son, I never got to read this letter to you. Not in the hospital, not at home, not in the quiet moments when I imagined rocking you to sleep. And yet I've whispered these words 1,000 times. I've mouthed them into the pillow on sleepless nights. I've carried them like a prayer pressed against my ribs. Maybe you've heard them. Maybe you've always known. You never opened your eyes, but I still see you. Every night in dreams so vivid I wake up reaching. I see your tiny fingers wrapped around mine. I see the softness of your cheeks, the way your breath would rise and fall as I hummed lullabies into your skin. You never made a sound, but your silence taught me volumes about love, about fragility, about what it means to be a mother even when no one sees you as one. They told me grief would fade, that time would close this wound. But how does time heal something that never began the way it should have? How do you move forward when your only memories are what-ifs, imagined laughs, unspoken words? They never prepared me for the silence after hope dies. They never warned me that the pain of losing a child before birth is one the world still struggles to name. There was no funeral, no eulogy, no black dress, just absence, emptiness, quiet. But in that quiet, I built this letter. I built it out of all the pieces I never got to give you. The love, the warmth, the protection, the dreams. I imagined your first steps, the way you'd light up every room you entered. I saw the birthday candles I'd never get to light. I wrote your name again and again, not to see the letters, but to feel the weight of it, to remind myself that you were here, that you mattered. I bought a blanket for you, soft, light gray with tiny stars. I folded it with care, placed it beside the crib we never assembled. I imagined tucking you in after long days filled with giggles and stories. That blanket remains untouched, but sometimes I hold it close when the world is asleep, and I pretend for just a second that it still holds your warmth. I chose your name. Your father and I sat on the edge of the bed one night and whispered names like sacred spells. When we found it, your name, it felt right. It sounded like sunlight, like home, like everything I had hoped for. But no one ever calls it now. It lives only in this letter, in my mind, in the sacred part of me that refuses to forget. This letter is all I have. It was born in the space between what could have been and what will never be. It was carved out of grief, yes, but also out of love. A kind of love so deep and unshakable, it outlived the future we never got. It's the kind of love that stays, even when nothing else does. The kind of love that doesn't ask for proof to exist. And maybe this letter isn't just mine. Maybe there are others holding stories that never reached the light. Mothers who lost before they were even called mom. Fathers who dreamed of holding their children high in the air, only to be left holding silence. Siblings who never met, but still miss someone they never knew. There's something sacred about writing what was never said. About giving a voice to grief that the world doesn't know how to hold. About letting sorrow be seen, not to glorify it, but to honor what it meant. What it still means, because I carry you, son. I carry you in my breath, in my steps, in the way I look at the sky, searching for answers I'll never find. I carry you in the way I speak softer now, in the way I cry during certain songs, in the way I pause sometimes for no reason at all, because I felt you near, if only for a moment. And if someone out there is reading this, someone who has also lost before ever gaining, I want you to know, your pain is not invisible, your love is not lesser. Your story is not forgotten, you are not alone. And now, as I sit here with this letter in my hands, fingers trembling, heart wide open, I'm finally ready to read it out loud. Not just for me, but for every voice that was never heard. How do you say goodbye to someone who never said hello? I've spent countless nights asking myself that, whispering it into the dark, letting it echo in the quiet spaces of my home, where your laughter should have lived. And the truth is, there is no manual for this kind of goodbye, no blueprint for letting go of a soul you never got to hold, no ceremony for grief that society doesn't even know how to name. Some people lose years. I lost decades before they could begin. I lost birthdays that were never celebrated, holidays that were never marked with joy, first steps, first words, the nervous first day of school, the rebellious teenage years, the proud moment of watching you find your path in the world. I lost all of it, and yet somehow I still live with it. I carry every imagined moment, every might have been, every dream that still visits me when I close my eyes. I hear your laugh when a child giggles in the distance. I turn my head sometimes, reflexively, hoping to find you, knowing I won't. I catch glimpses of you in other children, in the tilt of a head, in the mischief of a smile, in the way their mothers look at them with love and exhaustion and awe. I smile for them and ache for me. The hallway in my home remains untouched. It's quiet, but it still holds echoes. I hear your footsteps there, light, quick, playful, running down the corridor that never felt your feet. I still picture your hands smudging the walls with peanut butter and dreams. I imagine picking up your toys, stepping on your tiny building blocks in the middle of the night, and cursing under my breath, the kind of pain I would have welcomed if it meant you were here. There are lullabies I used to sing to myself while planning for your arrival. Now I can't hear them without breaking. Music became silence, joy became ache, hope became memory. And yet I still sing in my head, because maybe, just maybe, you hear me somewhere beyond what we understand. Maybe this grief is just love with no place to go, and the songs I can't sing out loud still find their way to you. I am not a mother with a child. I don't have a car seat in the back. There's no mess in the kitchen, no toys on the floor, no school drawings on the fridge, but I am still a mother. I am yours. And no absence, no amount of time or silence or sorrow will ever take that away from me. People don't know what to say when you grieve a life that never lived outside of you. They fall silent, they minimize, they shift the conversation to something safer. But I don't want safe, I want real. I want to scream your name into the sky and know it matters. I want to wrap my arms around the nothingness and pretend it's you. I want to say goodbye, even if I never got the chance to say hello. This is my goodbye, the only one I'll ever get. and I don't even know how to give it. Because how do you release something that was never fully in your grasp? How do you mourn someone you never touched? How do you stop loving someone who never got to stay? These questions haunt me. They follow me into every day, into every quiet moment, into every crowded room where I smile and laugh and hide the fact that part of me is missing. And the worst part is, no one sees it. No one asks about it. Grieving a child you never met is an invisible loss. But I feel it, deeply, daily. I guess this letter is more than just goodbye. It's a confession, a release, a soft whisper into a world that forgot to listen. And maybe, just maybe, if you're here watching, it means the world is finally ready to hear us. And if this story is stirring something in you, if it's waking up a quiet grief you've tucked away, don't be afraid to say it out loud. You don't have to share your whole story. Sometimes a word is enough, a name, a sentence, a truth you've been holding in your chest like a stone. Leave a comment below. Maybe just write, "I see you," or "This is my goodbye," or even their name, the name you've whispered in secret for too long. Your story matters. Your grief matters. And someone else right now might be scrolling through these words, needing to know they're not the only one who aches like this. So go ahead, type it, say it. Let the silence be broken, just a little, and stay with me, because there's still more to say. If I had just one more minute with you, just 60 more seconds to stand in that space between what was and what should have been, I know exactly what I'd say. I wouldn't waste a second. I'd hold your hand as even if it was small and fragile and fading fast, and I'd look into the face I never got to memorize, and I'd tell you everything. I'd tell you that you were wanted, more than anything in this world, that you were never a mistake, never an accident, never a burden, that from the moment I found out I was carrying you, I knew my life had changed forever. You were loved in a way that words can barely carry, a fierce, aching kind of love, a love that bloomed instantly and still lives in every corner of my heart. You were not just a hope, you were my whole world. Even if the world never knew you existed, I would have told you that your name mattered, that it wasn't just a label, it was a song, a prayer, a promise, that I still say it when no one is listening, that I still write it in journals, whisper it into pillows, trace it with my fingers on fogged mirrors, just to remember what it feels like to see it there. I would have whispered prayers into your ear, the way I imagined doing on the night you came home from the hospital. I would have prayed for peace to follow you, for kindness to shape you, for strength to live inside your chest even when the world felt heavy. I would have prayed that you'd always know how deeply you were loved, even on days when life got hard or confusing or unfair. I would have told you that no matter where you were or what you became, you'd always have a place to come back to. You'd always have home. I would have looked you in the eyes and told you the kind of man I dreamed you'd become. Not perfect, not unbreakable, but kind, honest, brave. I would have told you to never be afraid to cry. That softness is strength, that empathy is a gift, that the world needs more hearts that feel deeply, and yours, even in its silence, changed mine forever. If I had 1 minute, I would have filled it with love. Not the kind you see in fairy tales, but the raw, unfiltered kind. The love that holds you when you're afraid. The love that stays even when everything else falls apart. The love that survives beyond breath, beyond heartbeat, beyond time. And I would have said something I say even now, to the air, to the stars, to the night sky that sometimes feels like it's listening. I would have said, you changed my life without ever living one day. Because it's true. Everything about me shifted the moment I knew you were there. My priorities, my dreams, my understanding of love. You taught me what it means to give your whole heart to someone you may never get to meet. And still I gave it all. Every part of it. No hesitation, no regret. If love could have kept you here, you would have stayed forever. You would have opened your eyes. You would have cried your first cry. You would have grown, laughed, stumbled, soared. If love was enough, you'd still be in my arms right now. But life doesn't always bend to love. Sometimes it breaks under the weight of it. Sometimes it takes what we treasure most before we even get the chance to hold it close. Still, I believe you knew. Somehow I believe your soul heard mine, even for just a moment. I believe the universe allowed us a connection beyond time, beyond logic. And that connection, as brief as it was, left a permanent mark on who I am. I still talk to you, you know. I still imagine what it would have been like to kiss your forehead goodnight, to read you stories, to pick you up when you fell. I still wonder what your voice would have sounded like when you laughed, what your favorite color would have been, what your eyes looked like when they sparkled. But more than all the unknowns, I carry the one truth that keeps me going. You were loved. And maybe someone watching this video has never heard that before. Maybe someone is holding the same kind of pain, silent, invisible, exhausting. Maybe they never got their goodbye either. Maybe they're still waiting for one more minute that never came. If that's you, if you've lost someone you never got to meet, if your heart is heavy with words never spoken, I want to give you something small but powerful. A moment, a space, a place to speak. So leave a comment below. Write their name, or just write, "If love was enough." Let's remind the world that our goodbyes, even the unspoken ones, still matter. That love, even when unanswered, leaves a legacy. And if you're still here, stay with me, because I have one more thing to say. This isn't just about my son. This isn't just my letter or my grief or my goodbye. This is about you. You, the one watching in silence, maybe with tears in your eyes and a lump in your throat, because somewhere deep inside, this story isn't just familiar, it's personal. You who carry a name you've never spoken out loud. You who dream of a face you never got to hold. You who loved without ever being seen as a mother or a father or a sibling or a friend, because the world never acknowledged your loss. It's about the love you gave without witness, the goodbye you never got to say, the voice you never found, until now, because I've learned something through this journey of unspoken grief. Loss doesn't always look the way people expect it to. It's not always a funeral or a framed photo or a room full of flowers. Sometimes it's invisible. Sometimes it's carried in silence, like a letter folded so many times the paper starts to tear. A letter never sent, a love never claimed, a story no one ever asked to hear. But just because no one asked, doesn't mean it doesn't deserve to be heard. You deserve to be heard. Your pain matters, even if the world never gave you a moment to feel it, even if people told you to move on, even if you were made to believe that what you lost wasn't real enough to grieve. Because grief doesn't ask for permission. It moves in and stays. It fills every part of you until you either speak or break. That's why this channel exists. That's why I'm here, to speak the words that get caught in our throats, to read the letters we wrote in the dark, to build a space where love is not measured by time or recognition, but by how deeply it was felt. And if you felt that kind of love, the kind that leaves an echo in your chest long after it's gone, then this space is yours too. This is not just a video. It's a place to be seen, to say the thing that's been buried, to remember someone who was never forgotten, not by your heart, not by your soul. I don't know your story, not yet, but I know what it's like to walk through the world pretending to be okay, smiling when you're breaking, laughing when your chest is heavy with what-ifs. I know what it's like to hold back tears because you've run out of people to cry to wonder if anyone would even care if they knew the truth of what you carry. Let me tell you, I care. And so do the thousands of others who find this channel and realize for the first time that they're not alone. And maybe right now you're thinking about the person you lost. Maybe you're seeing their face in your mind, hearing the sound of their laugh, remembering the way their name used to feel on your lips before you stopped saying it. Or maybe you never got to say it at all. If you've been waiting for permission to speak, this is it. If you've been holding your goodbye in your chest like a secret too fragile to share, this is the moment to let it out. Maybe it's time to write it, or maybe, just maybe, it's time to listen, to allow the silence to speak, to let your heart be heard. Because my goodbye, this letter, this video, these words, they're not just for me, they're for you. They're for anyone who has ever lost before they could love out loud, for everyone who had to say goodbye without ever getting to say hello. And as much as this hurts, as deep as this ache goes, I believe there's healing in the telling. There's peace in being seen. There's power in finally saying the thing that's been unsaid for far too long. So I'm asking you, from one grieving soul to another, don't leave here in silence. If your heart is full, let it speak. Scroll down to the comments. Share the name you never got to say. Write the words you never had the chance to speak. Or simply type, "This is my goodbye." That phrase alone can start a ripple of healing. It tells others who come here after you that they are not the first to hurt like this, and they won't be the last. It makes this space sacred, human, whole. And if this video touched your soul, if it helped you breathe just a little deeper, cry just a little freer, or remember just a little louder, stay with us, because in the next video, I'm sharing a story that took a lifetime to unfold. It's about someone who waited for years to say goodbye and finally did. You won't want to miss it. But first, take this moment, breathe, let it out, and when you're ready, say it. If something in this video stirred your heart, If you felt even a moment of stillness, recognition, or release, then I want to invite you to stay. This is more than a channel. It's a home for the unspoken, a resting place for letters that never got sent, stories that never got told, and goodbyes that never had time to bloom. So if you felt something today, anything, hit subscribe. Join us. There's a place here with your name on it. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I see you. I thank you. And I want to know you were here. Go to the comments and write, "I stayed until the last word." Let that be your way of saying, this story mattered. Not just mine, but yours too. Leave a like if your heart needed this. Every single one helps this message find someone who's still searching in silence. And don't stop here. The next video is waiting, right there on your screen. It's a story that might feel like your own. Click it now, listen, feel, heal. I'll meet you there.